On November 25th, an editor's note released by the Journal that notified students a bank deposit bag with $800 that was raised during Queens Loves You was found in the Journal House. The event, which took place on April 7th, was created and organized by Kevin Imrie, who in May became the Journal's business manager. The bag was found and removed by an AMS official at the end of October. Kevin resigned as the Journal's business manager on Thursday, November 24th, 2 days after the editors-in-chief of the Journal were notified. With the editor's note leaving many questions still unanswered, we decided to speak to Kevin Imrie, as well as Journal editors-in-chief Claire Clancy and Jake Edmonston.
It was an event I made while I was working at Walk Home. I posted something, and then within the first hour, there were 3,000 people that said they were coming, and it sort of got out of control. There wasn't necessarily as much in the way of planning and follow-up as there should have been, and I should have organized a little more closely with people to help me make sure that everything went smoothly. At the end of the day, the events were done mostly organically by students. In general, I sort of got emails and they said they're going to run something, which is a roundabout way of saying that there really wasn't any set process put in place. And then the fact that we were actually collecting donations for HDS, it should have been more of a priority, and I should have really followed up on that more, but unfortunately at the time it wasn't. Okay. Once it came together, I put it in my office. I left on a trip. I had some family news. I didn't follow up on it quickly enough. I was reminded shortly afterwards by the admin assistant at the Journal. I went on a trip again and I didn't follow up. But essentially that's what happened. It stayed in the office. An AMS official, as the Journal article says, was notified. The money was collected. I had a conversation with them. It was determined that it was a mistake on my part. I explained the situation, and the decision was made to bring the money to Health Counseling and Disability Services. I had a follow-up conversation with them, and then that was where it lied until it was brought up with the Journal editors at the beginning of this week.
It came to our attention by somebody outside of sort of the operational side of the Journal as an anonymous source, and we acted on it, and we acted in the best interest of this newspaper.
Okay. And we were, as it said in the editor's note, we were notified on Tuesday of last week, and then we acted immediately, and the editor's note was published Friday. We addressed the situation in our editor's note in the best way that we could and the most appropriate way we could. So just to kind of fill you in on that, the reason we didn't publish a news story was because there's no way that anyone on our staff could have reported objectively on the situation. We all worked with Kevin on a day-to-day basis, sorry. So for us, an editor's note was the best avenue. It was published, page 2 of our section, or of the news section. And so from that sense, I think we've stated everything that we could. It was the facts of the situation, so I don't think a follow-up story will be necessary at this point.
Nobody with a vested interest in a story, if it's your housemate, if it's a friend, if it's somebody you're dating, if it's anything that you're involved in the story in some way, you're not allowed to write that story. Right. And so that's why we had, with this situation, it was a bit of a different situation. It was one that we still had to write on. We still felt responsible, and that we're mandated to keep this campus accountable, and that includes us. Yeah. So it was just a matter of getting the facts out and getting the facts out to our readers in the most appropriate way possible, and that is when you have editor's note. It's coming, and it's prominent that it's coming from us. It's coming from us in our position, and our perspective is obvious there.
Yeah.
Everything was collected, it was counted, and it was brought to HCDS. I thought it was a month ago, but the Journal article published was a week ago, and I guess it was spoken with them. But everything was collected and brought into the AMS offices about a month ago. The only relationship between the event and the Queen's Journal is the fact that I was there. And given the timing of the event and when it was collected was when I had started my transition into the role. Okay. So while it wasn't technically a relationship between events, it was through me, and it was my mistake to bring it into that space. Okay. And that is where some of the decisions that have come, for example, my resignation have been brought about because of that. I put the Journal in a bad place when I did that.
I think the resignation speaks to a mutual understanding that Kevin could go forward in the position.
It was his decision, ultimately, to resign. But again, we had various discussions. And,
and those preceded his resignation.
Yeah.
When we say it's a mutual understanding, we had the understanding that he couldn't move forward, and Kevin shared that understanding. Kevin did leave this place with our utmost respect. It's an isolated incident. It's a major incident, but it's isolated. It's not as much a testament to his character as a testament to the fact that he couldn't maintain his role in the job after after this has come to light and after we understood what had been going on. But he does leave with our utmost respect, and I believe it, and I know Claire believes it, and I just wanted to say that.
And Kevin dealt with the entire situation so graciously that I think that speaks a lot to his character, how he's dealt with this in the last week.
I'm sorry. It was students donated money towards that cause with the expectation that it would be brought to that space promptly, and it wasn't. The expectation when I started the event and when I sort of put myself out to do it was that I would follow up on what I was responsible for following up on, and when I didn't do that, it does fall on me. I'm sorry. It was a mistake, it was stupid, and it was negligent. And the way that the situation has been handled by both the Alma Mater Society and the Queen's Journal has been exemplary on both of their parts. It was my mistake. I put them in that position, and I feel terrible. And I would like to apologize to anyone that did donate to Queens Loves You. All of the money that came in went to health counseling and disability services. It wasn't on my volition they did it. It was on the part of some really good people that work in these offices, and I'm really sorry.
This has been Caitlin Ross for Queens TV News.